to thank you, Sofia, and the Counter Terrorism Project very much for inviting me to do this webinar from Paris. I am in Paris right now. And I think I will speak slower and less clearly than the two other participants. So please, I apologize for advance. You know the French accent. In fact, as Mr. said, I have been working since 2020 with the investigating judges. Before I was in the appeal court in Paris also, and my goal since 2020 is to help them to clarify the files of the individuals who left for the Iraqi Syrian zone, and I write a lot of reports about the migratory and ideological journeys of these individuals. I can also participate in interrogations. So that means that I can see the terrorists and I can observe them, and I can speak with them about the investigation. So it's very interesting to know and to determine several kinds of profiles, and I will speak about that. I followed the paths of dozens of women who returned from Syria between 2016 and today. So I will speak about that. And I will develop 2 points around the questions. First of all, some numbers and the French qualifications used against the returnees. Then I will speak about different profiles that I have determined with the judges or when I wrote my books. So I will begin with the numbers and the qualifications. It's very different if we compare with Germany. France is a little bit particular when we speak about terrorism and Islamist terrorism, jihadism. As you know, in France, criminal policy on terrorism has been completely transformed since the attack of Mohamed Merah in 2012. More than 1,600 individuals 3 or 4 years after left France to go to Syria and Iraq to fight Bashar al-Assad at the first bomb they developed. But after that, they joined ISIS or other jihadist groups as Jabhat al-Nusra, Ahrar al-Sham, etc. So France is famous now for its impressive capacity of sending fighters in Syria and Iraq, and our legal policy has been transformed insofar as. Since 2021, the French policy is bringing in women and children drop by drop. In June 2022, we have numbers, legal numbers, about which individuals are in the Rojava camps. In fact, we can keep one number. 441 French individuals left in Iraq and Syria are in the camps in June 2022, and including 107 females and 51 men. The rest, 283 minors. So there is a large part for the minors. That's a real issue for us to have a vision and to understand how we can treat these minors. In fact, the Minister of Justice, Eric Dupond-Moretti, said, I think, 2 weeks ago, that 77 minors were repatriated in France by the French authorities, including 71 from camps of Rojava in 7 operations between March of 2019 and October 2022. So we have a large part of the minors, but they are still in Rojava camps for more than 100 of them. So it's a big topic here in France, and in fact, the topic of the return of the jihadists in France is very political, in fact, because if we see the different positions of Emmanuel Macron or the Minister of Foreign Affairs or the Minister of Justice, they are not the same lines in these questions. And we have to consider one thing, that this summer, after the French presidential elections, at the beginning of July, the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it changed, announced the return of 16 women, as you said, and 45 children. It's very important to notice, because in France, you don't have a global policy before that moment. Until 2022, legal qualifications for the returnees have changed, because you have 2 kinds of qualifications in France for the terrorists. You have correctional qualifications, by example, when you build apologetical, I don't know if you can say that like that, apology of jihad in the social networks. You have qualifications. I think it's about 3 or 4 years in prison for the penalties. So corrections, in fact, are several. And when you come back from Syria and Iraq before 2016, you have the penalties between 1 and 10 years in prison. When you participate as a fighter or as a membership of Jabhat al-Nusra, or I don't know, ISIS, it was between 1 and 10 years. For women returnees, for female returnees from Syria until 2016, prosecutions were not systematically engaged, and the prison sentence were each time correctional. We don't have the capacity of thinking that women could be culprit in this engagement in the jihad, and we don't have the conscience that women could be fighters as men. It's probably linked to the other contention, to the other capacity of French in criminality, organized criminality. There's no woman, so in terrorism, there's no woman also. So it was a mistake. And after 2016, the penal policy has become tougher. All the individuals, men and women, were systematically prosecuted for criminal charges between 10 and 30 years of prison sentences. So there is a tsunami revolution since 2016. Since 2020, French female returnees are prosecuted systematically also for bringing their children to a war zone in Iraq and Syria. It's I don't know if I believe that in Germany is not the case. We consider that when you bring your children, you have made a mistake and you have created traumatism that you have to pay. Second point, as we said, I studied several profiles of women. We have the feeling that women, in fact, actually, I think I have 7 files of women, of returnees, female returnees. And in this 7 files, we have the feeling that women speak more than men who returning from Syria. That's to say, thanks to their depositions, instruction of files has been enriched for a lot of files, including, by example, for the family clan, la famille clan, just to describe this family. In fact, you know, when the 14 November, the attack of 14 November in 2015, two individuals, I think it was 3 or 4 days after the attack, speak and in fact diffused a message to for the revendication of ISIS of the attack, and the brothers clan were the two. And in fact, now we have the women, we have the sisters, we have the other women of this family are in the prison in France, and so we learn a lot of things thanks to them, because they speak about the two brothers clan. By example, or Sabri Assid. Sabri Assid is one of the worst jihadists in France also. So a capacity of speaking, very few of them refuse to speak. Yes, I think I never see one of them with a position of mutism. In fact, to my mind, about the question of membership of ISIS ideology, they don't all have the same speech. Some say that they were totally convinced by ISIS vision before, but others keep a position of victim, and they say that they were wives of jihadists and not jihadists. In fact, it is the difference, the big difference in the conception of a woman when we speak about jihad. And yet we know, after the police and army investigations, they have updated the role of women in the Madafas, in the Hizbah, as Sofia said, in the participation to the genocide of Yazidis. So the charges have also changed, if we compare with before. Their role of mother is particularly highlighted to explain they stayed in Syria until 2019, until, you know, the offensive of Kurdish in Barouz, in the village of Barouz. And they say we stay because we have our children, we have our family, and we don't know to fight anywhere. But in fact, as I said, France considered nowadays that the women have a responsibility because they take their children, and they created a true trauma for them in their movement to Syria. Minors and the children female returnees are always separated when they come back in France. You know, after the plane, they are separated, and institutions, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Interior and Foreign Affairs are very linked in this capacity of thinking what the minors embody here in France, how we can help them to to be in the best environment in France. All the minors, all the French minors were subject to judicial care, which combined placement in child welfare and an educated measure in an open environment, with a systematic ban on leaving the French territory. But you have a very important legal policy for them now. Finally, thanks to the dispositions, we also understand better the current situations in the camp of Al-Roj on Al-Hol in Rojava, where a real ideological war is being waged between the hard ones of ISIS who give up their jihadist convictions and the women who are even more radicalized. As I said, that the first category is a disbeliever, and there are a lot of fights. It's very problematic, and we know that thanks to the depositions of female returnees interrogations. So we know that the evolution is not really easy to understand, and we don't know how Kurdish will do to make security in their camps in the months. To conclude, we have to say that we accept twice the number of women that have already returned. So investigating judges, administrations of prison continue to prepare because it will be very intense in the future months, even if the French population is sometimes and still skeptical about these returnees. I thank you very much for your attention.